Good afternoon. It is great to be here today. I was pleasantly surprised and greatly flattered to be invited to be today's guest speaker for the 29th Annual Mayor's Alliance for Persons with Disabilities Award Luncheon. It is an absolute honor to be here with you this afternoon. I wanted to start by first thanking you for being here today in celebration and recognition of the achievements and efforts of those who enhance the quality of life for persons with disabilities in the Tampa Bay community. I want to congratulate the award recipients as well as those that were nominated. I want to also praise all of the unsung heroes that go above and beyond the call of duty to better enhance the quality of life of persons with disabilities in this great community. As introduced, my name is Juliana Velasco, and I'm here to share a little bit of my story with you. As members of a shared community, we all have different roles that we play, and at times we become unaware of how our actions, even the little ones, can have a ripple effect on someone else's life. On December 5th, 1994, I woke up just like any other day. I was 7 years old, little girl, counting down to Christmas and the chance to get that sparkly Barbie bike that my parents had no idea I knew they had purchased. Except that was not just like any other day. On that night, during a severe rainstorm, as I slept on the back seat of my parents' car, we got into a car accident. The car spiraled out of control down a rural highway in Brazil for what it seemed like hours. As a result of that accident, I was severely burned in countless parts of my body. I had to have my right hand reconstructed with 2 of my fingers now gone. I was at risk of having part of my right leg amputated and spent years between burn centers, physical therapy, chiropractors, neurologists, orthopedists, plastic surgeons, among other specialists. Although the accident was traumatic, with years to come of ongoing treatment, with the physical pain at times unbearable, that was not the worst of it. Little did I know that as a 7-year-old little girl, that the biggest struggles and moments of pain and loneliness I would endure almost every day of the rest of my life would come from human beings, attitudes, stigma, and social barriers. Factors that are completely separate and unrelated to my different abilities that were now a product of that car accident. Since that day, I'm asked often enough, if I could go back in time, would I change it? Would you still get in that car knowing that you would become disabled? And my answer has always been, no, I would not change a thing. I would not change that accident. That accident has a role in shaping who I am today. Although scary, I would have wanted to be exactly where I was then, and I would have wanted to be exactly where I am today. I know I was different. I know there was a me pre-accident. Most of the time, I cannot remember her or who I was before that dreadful rainy night. But still, I'd like to believe that even though the pre only reflects 7 years of my existence, that I was a strong, vocal, active, and independent little girl. At times, I wonder if I would have turned out just like I did. Would I love life? Where would I live? Who would I be with? Would I recognize myself in the mirror? But going down that path always leads me to a maze of uncertainty, where the only exit is the current reality. The truth is, I was me. I am me, just a modified version of me. No more, no less, just different. An ever-evolving version of me. And I could not be happier. And I would not change a thing. Not replace the scar, not remove one of the sequelae of that tremendous rainy night. But me being happy for being me wanting to have goals, to become educated, to have a family, to have a job, to contribute to society, was primarily on my agenda. And this is where things get interesting. From that moment I was injured until today, I have never seen myself as a disabled person, but instead as a different able-bodied human being. But those around me did not share the same beliefs. I was told often enough growing up to pretend to be normal, to blend in, to make my disabilities invisible, as if that at all was even possible. Majority of my disabilities were invisible already, and I was judged either way. Statements such as these not only invalidated my differences, but also invalidated all of those with invisible disabilities around me, as if disabilities are only real if they can be seen. But I was young and naive, And I bought into this compulsive, futile attempt to act normal. I bought into this misconstrued and downright wrong reality that invisible meant that the disability did not exist. Fake it until you make it became my motto, until I realized it was not possible to continue this way. That faking it was not living, it was barely surviving. Everyone was so focused on the acting normal, and I learned to blend in so well that everyone would just ignore the rest of me. I faked it to make others feel better. I wore a mask because me being different meant I was less valued by others. I became so invisible, I could not even recognize or see myself in the mirror. All the world told me was being different meant less, not capable, inadequate, an overall inconvenience, a burden. A burden to my family, a burden to my community, overall a burden to society. I was so ashamed for being different, and I was so ashamed that I let myself be so impacted by others that I completely stopped looking in the mirror. And then, about 5 years ago, I watched a talk titled, "Fake It Until You Become It." And that is where a lot of things changed in my life. I was irate watching this talk. This was my tipping point. How dare this stranger tell me that I needed to pretend to be something so badly that I would then become something else, something completely different. Apparently, I was not good enough, and I needed to fake to become something else. I could not understand why everyone watching this video around me was so inspired, so excited. You see, I cannot become something other than myself, as this motivational speech was telling me to do. No matter how much I faked it, my fingers are not going to go back. No matter how much I faked it, the chronic pain is not going to go away. So after I watched this video, I spent days reflecting on what disability meant to me, what this recent awakening meant, and what I was now going to do. As corny as it sounds, this really was the moment that I decided that I was going to embrace something I already was. But this time, I was going to let myself shine with pride and no holding back. I was going to let my colorful and very visible self come out and not fake to be something else anymore. You see, prior to 5 years ago, I had never imagined myself becoming a disability scholar, a disability advocate, a fighter for social justice. But this quest of defining disability and what it meant to be differently abled, this journey to challenge the concept of normal, to disrupt this binary notion of abled and disabled, and to further understand the role that every stakeholder in the community plays in either challenging or reinforcing such ableist society led me to be standing here today. As the Union of Physical Impaired Against Segregation activists have stated, it is society which disables. Disability is something imposed on top of our impairments by the way we are unnecessarily isolated and excluded from full participation in society. Or as another disability scholar, Paul Hunt, stated so well, disability is a situation caused by social conditions which requires for its elimination, so that no one aspect such as income, mobility, or institution is treated in isolation, where disability is defined as the disadvantage or restrictions of activity caused by a contemporary social organization which take little or no account of people who are differently abled. And this excludes them from participating in mainstream social activities. What did those social exclusions look like to me? As a student, I was often removed from my classrooms in high school and college to retake my exams with the professors, not because it was part of my accommodation, but because I was accused of cheating often, usually with a variation of the statement, "But don't you have a disability? How dare you try hard?" That becomes an academic barrier. When you have other human beings threaten to physically assault you, because being disabled to others can mean I am vulnerable, by observing where you park and shouting things like, "Such an easy prey. How dare you take ownership of your body and fight back?" That becomes a safety barrier. When multiple people have thrown things at your car, barricaded you inside your car by blocking you from exiting, sent out security after you because they do not see your disability or do not agree with your rights, thus threaten your life over a simple parking spot, how dare you still be able to walk at times? that becomes an access and safety barrier. When a police officer humiliates you while you attempt to get a cup of coffee at a Starbucks and makes you disclose your disabilities to all because he doesn't feel you look disabled enough, and goes on to hand your spouse the do's and don'ts of being disabled, as if I did not know how to be disabled myself, how dare you speak up for yourself? That becomes a societal, safety, civil, and emotional barrier. When you load up on tea and caffeine to hide your pain so your boss does not find out how fatigued you are, because gosh, how dare you look frail? That becomes an important barrier. When you're told you should just stay indoors and kill yourself because you're a visual disgust to others, that becomes a mental health barrier. That, among other examples, is what it means to say that other things imposed by society that are beyond my impairment, beyond my control, is what disability is. Most often, society is what attempts to alienate me from accessing what my community has to offer. So what does this all have to do with you today? Well, the lyrics written by Dr. Seuss states very well. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It is not. It is partly because of members of the community such as yourselves that have seen me for who I was, not for who I was trying to fake it, not for trying to make me become something else, but for me, for what I was capable and willing to do, for looking past my impairments and never looking at my differences as a disability, that I have found the inspiration to continue my work as an educator, as an activist, as a researcher, and as a student. People like you that have come to that aha moment and realized that just doing the right thing, just complying to policy, not speaking up, and turning your face to all other wrongdoings was wrong and not enough. It is partly due to social justice advocates such as yourselves and those who have positively and directly impacted me that I'm able to be here today to celebrate your accomplishments and contributions to this great community and beyond. People like you challenge me to be stronger, inspire me to continue researching, drive me to continue educating, and strengthen me to continue advocating. But above all, it is thrilling and illuminating that you take upon yourselves to push the community further. You challenge those around you. You fight to demolish barriers. So all that I don't have to do it alone. All so there is no division between the able and the disabled. And for that, I'm forever thankful. Thank you one more time for all that you do, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the event.